India have kept their hopes alive in the ICC Women's T20 World Cup by registering a win over Sri Lanka, while India have pulled things back after losing their tournament opener to New Zealand by 58 runs. They beat Pakistan by 6 wickets in their previous game, and now they have registered a victory over Sri Lanka, which is their second consecutive victory in the tournament. Well, let's take a look at India's best possible qualification scenarios on the road to the semi-finals of the mega event. Well, this is the first of all updated points table here. Well, India are at the top of Group A with a total of 3 matches, 2 wins, 1 defeat and a total of 4 points. Well, Australia, the reigning World T20 champions, they are sitting pretty at the second spot as of now with 2 wins in as many matches and a total of 4 points. Pakistan, on the other hand, have played a total of 2 matches so far. They have won 1 match against Sri Lanka and the other they lost against India, and they have a total of 2 points. New Zealand also have a total of 2 points. They beat India but lost to Australia in their second game, while Sri Lanka have lost all their 3 matches so far and they are eliminated from the competition. Well, what is India's best case scenario of reaching the semi-finals of the ICC Women's World Cup 2024? Well, they need to defeat Australia, the reigning World T20 champions, by a massive margin, and hope that Australia, New Zealand and Pakistan lose their remaining matches. And what do we really mean by saying that Australia, New Zealand and Pakistan lose their remaining matches? Well, let's just see the possible scenarios here, that Australia lose to India and also lose their remaining match against Pakistan. Then New Zealand, in this case, they defeat Pakistan. If all these scenarios come true, what this would mean is that India would finish at a total of 6 points and neither Australia, New Zealand and Pakistan would finish more than 4 points, which would mean that India would comfortably reach the Final Four. But then that was just one way of looking at things, and in this case there's also a 3-way tie is possible. And by this, what I really mean here is that India, Australia and New Zealand can end on 6 points each. But then who will be the semi-finalists in this case? Well, we'll get to this point, but the first point here is that a total of 3 teams from the Group A can finish on 6 points each, which means a total of 3 victories and 1 loss each. And how would that be possible? Well, India go on to defeat Australia, which means that India finish at a total of 6 points, 3 victories and 1 loss that came against New Zealand. For Australia, they defeat Pakistan in their last game after losing to India, assuming all that happens. And in case of New Zealand, they beat both Pakistan and Sri Lanka in their remaining games. And that's how 3 teams will finish at a total of 6 points. Then who will be the semi-finalists in this case? Well, the 2 teams who will finish with a better net run rate in comparison to the 3rd team will qualify for the Final Four. Well, what if India lose to Australia in their final group game? Well, India can still qualify, but at the very same time, they will tie with both Pakistan and New Zealand with a total of 4 points. And how is really that going to be possible? Well, let's just take a look at the possible scenarios in this case. There are going to be too much scenarios here. Pakistan beat Australia, Pakistan lose to New Zealand, which means that if Pakistan beat Australia, they would go on to 4 points because they had already beaten Sri Lanka. And if they lose to New Zealand, they stay on 4 points, a total of 4 points in the Group A. And in case of New Zealand, New Zealand lose to Sri Lanka. So here also New Zealand finished with a total of 4 points, knowing that they here defeated Pakistan. And that's all just an assumption, which means that both Pakistan, New Zealand and India in this case will finish with a total of 4 points. Now let's take a look at the scenario 2 here, and it's a complete opposite of scenario 1. Pakistan lose to Australia. In the previous scenario, it was Pakistan beating Australia. Then here it's Pakistan defeating New Zealand and New Zealand defeating Sri Lanka, which would here also mean that India, Pakistan and New Zealand, they finish with a total of 4 points each. And in this case, how will the semi-finalists be determined? Well, the teams that have better net run rate in comparison to the 3rd team will qualify for the last 4. Well, India's road is never really going to be easy now. They are going to face Australia, the mighty Aussies who have won the World T20 multiple times. But India would look to make sure that they get their A game out and defeat Australia and go on to reach the semi-finals, which would mean that India would have a good chance to clinch the trophy for the first time in their T20 cricket history. But on the other hand, defeating Australia is never going to be easy, and even if we go by the overall head-to-head record, India's record is not really that impressive in comparison to Australia, as compared to Australia for that matter. But then T20 is a crazy format and anything can happen in this game. What do you think are India's chances of reaching the semi-finals of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup? You can let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today for all the exciting updates and analysis from the sporting world. Until then, on behalf of my producer Shivam, it's Siddharth Gulati saying goodbye.